My nephew asked at dinner, "Why does Grandpa have a secret phone for his other family?" The entire table went silent. Forks stopped midair. My mom's face drained of color. My dad sat frozen, his water glass halfway to his mouth. I looked at my 7-year-old nephew Liam, who was innocently cutting his chicken nuggets like he hadn't just dropped a bomb on Thanksgiving dinner. "What are you talking about, sweetie?" my sister Rachel asked, her voice tight. Liam looked up, confused by the sudden attention. "Grandpa's other phone, the one he keeps in the garage. He talks to his other family on it." My dad's glass slipped from his hand and shattered on the floor. Everyone jumped and Mom rushed to grab paper towels, but her hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold them. I'd been living across the country for 5 years and only came home for holidays. My parents seemed fine, maybe a bit distant, but I figured that was normal for people in their 60s. Now I was watching my dad's face turn red while my mom cleaned up broken glass with tears streaming down her face. "Liam, where did you hear that?" I asked gently. He shrugged and took a bite of his nuggets. "I was playing hide and seek in Grandpa's garage last week when I stayed over. I found a phone in a toolbox. It started ringing and I answered it. A lady said, 'Hi, honey, are you coming over for dinner tonight?' I told her Grandpa was inside and she got really quiet. Then Grandpa came running and took the phone away. He said it was for his other family and I shouldn't tell anyone because it would make Grandma sad." My dad stood up so fast his chair fell backward. He's confused. Kids make up stories, but his voice was shaking and he wouldn't look at any of us. My mom stopped pretending to clean and just sat there on the floor surrounded by broken glass. "How long?" she whispered. Dad didn't answer. He grabbed his jacket and headed for the door. My brother-in-law stood up and blocked his path. "You're not leaving until you explain what your grandson just said." I could see my dad calculating his options. Fight his way out or come clean. Finally, his shoulders sagged. 12 years. Her name is Patricia. We have 2 daughters together. They're 8 and 10. The room exploded. My sister started screaming. My mom was sobbing so hard she couldn't breathe. I just sat there in shock doing the math. 12 years meant he'd started this when I was still in college. "Where do they live?" I managed to ask. Dad looked at the floor. "About 40 minutes away, in Riverside. I told you all those Wednesday and Saturday fishing trips were visits to them. Patricia thinks I'm divorced. The girls think I'm their full-time dad who just works long hours." My mom let out a sound I'd never heard before, something between a scream and a sob. "You have daughters? We have sisters we've never met?" Everything started clicking into place. The late nights that seemed excessive for a retired accountant, the separate bank account he'd insisted on keeping, the new truck last year that seemed too expensive. He'd been living a double life and it took a 7-year-old playing hide and seek to expose it. "Does Patricia know about us?" my sister demanded. Dad shook his head. "She knows I was married before, but she thinks it ended years ago." "I want to see the phone," my mom said suddenly, her voice cold and steady. Dad hesitated, then pulled a cheap flip phone from his pocket. Mom grabbed it and started scrolling through texts. Her face got paler with each message. "You told her you loved her this morning. You sent her money for the girls' dance classes last week. You were planning to spend Christmas Eve with them." She threw the phone at him. "We were supposed to host Christmas here. You were going to leave us on Christmas Eve?" Dad's silence was his answer. My brother-in-law called his lawyer friend right there at the table. Within an hour, we had advice on protecting Mom's assets and starting divorce proceedings. We also learned that what Dad had done was financial fraud. Every dollar he'd spent on Patricia and those girls was money stolen from joint accounts and retirement savings. My sister demanded the address in Riverside, and before anyone could stop her, she was in her car. I jumped in with her while Mom stayed with Liam, who still didn't understand why everyone was so upset. We pulled up to a nice suburban house with a trampoline in the yard and 2 bikes on the porch. Through the window, we could see a woman setting the table for dinner. I knocked and Patricia answered, smiling. "Can I help you?" Behind her, I could see 2 little girls watching TV. They looked like my dad. Same nose, same smile. "Are you Patricia?" She nodded, her smile fading. "We're looking for our father. He should be here around now for dinner." Her face went white. "Your father? I don't understand." My sister pulled out her phone and showed Patricia a family photo from last Christmas. All of us together with Dad, dated clearly. Patricia grabbed the doorframe for support. "That's not possible. He's divorced," he told me. We spent the next 2 hours explaining everything while her daughters played upstairs, completely oblivious. Patricia had met my dad at a work conference 12 years ago when she was newly divorced. He told her his marriage had ended badly. She'd believed him because why wouldn't she? He'd been attentive and loving, attending every school event, coaching their softball team. He was the perfect father, just not to his actual first family. When we showed her wedding photos from my parents' anniversary party last year, she threw up in her kitchen sink. Patricia told us she'd noticed he never wanted photos on social media and always paid cash, but she thought he was just private. Now she realized he'd been covering his tracks the entire time. We left Patricia with lawyer referrals and a promise to help her tell the girls in whatever way felt right. Driving home, none of us spoke. When we got back, Dad was gone. He'd packed a bag and left a note saying he needed time to think. Mom had already called a locksmith to change the locks. She was moving through shock into fury, which seemed healthier than the broken woman we'd left on the kitchen floor. My nephew Liam was asleep on the couch, clutching his stuffed dinosaur, having no idea his innocent question had destroyed 2 families in one evening. The worst part was knowing those 2 little girls in Riverside would wake up tomorrow in a world where their dad was a fraud and half their family didn't exist until today. All because a child answered a phone during hide and seek.